Welcome back to Voices of the West. Today we are talking to author John Lindermuth, a little bit about his overall experience in writing and about Westerns and the whole breadth of his experience with things. So thank you, John, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
How would you describe yourself?
Well, I'm a retired newspaper editor and writer, and I've been writing most of my life, 40 years in the newspaper business.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
was publishing short stories and articles throughout that period, but I didn't have a novel till after I retired.
Very good. What got you into, well, it looks like you have a large collection of both crime dramas and also you had a number of Westerns going on as well. What got you into the idea of writing for Westerns?
Well, I've always liked Westerns. My mother told me when she was carrying me that she spent her time reading Westerns. So I guess it was born into me. And my dad always liked them too.
Always a
So
good.
I grew up grew up reading Westerns, watching them on TV, going to the movies.
Very good. What do you think makes a great Western?
Story. Story and characters. There's only a minimum of plots that we have to work through. So the story is important, keeps your interest. The characters, you've got to believe in the characters. Want to see what happens with them.
I unfortunately haven't read your Westerns as such as yet, but are they predominantly, they look like they're crime dramas that are put in a Western setting.
Yeah, like I said, there are only a minimum of plots that we have to work with. So I like to throw in a few extra elements, stir up a little interest.
Yes, they seem very
Um,
interesting that way. It's kind of,
I found a lot of my mystery lovers also like Westerns. So
yes, cross promoting is always a very good thing to be able to do with all of that. How do you, well, you're trying to draw in your mystery type of readers on that. How do you feel that Westerns are best promoted?
person to person,
Person to
I don't,
person.
I don't think there's any better way to do it. There's nothing like going to a venue where you can meet the people and show them what you have, talk to them, see if they can see if you can get them to try yours.
Yes, very much.
Unfortunate, Unfortunately, with since COVID, the number of vendors available like that, even some of the bookshops aren't doing as much.
Yeah, that took a heavy hit on everyone.
Yeah.
What do you think that readers are looking for with Westerns?
Uh, I think readers today are, I don't want to say more broad-minded, but they have more varied interests and they don't object when they find something different in a Western. Like I've seen some now where drawing in elements of paranormal, some science fiction elements, some mystery elements. The field is broadening.
Definitely. A lot of people say that, Westerns aren't overly popular for today, but I don't know, we're selling fine on everything. And it seems like people are still very interested in that entire time period. There's new movies coming out all the time that are Westerns. Well, you got Yellowstone, you got everything like that on TV nowadays
Yeah,
too.
I don't think it ever died out. I think what it was the publicist and the big promoters were saying, "Oh, they're dead. Go to this genre."
They tend to do that frequently.
Yeah. But I think the interest has always been there. It's the American novel.
Very much so. When do you think you first feel that you got a talent for writing Westerns?
When publishers started accepting them.
You started writing them before that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I said, I was publishing a lot of short stories before I ever got to a novel. And a good number of those were Western magazines. And a lot of those are long gone. probably never even heard of some of them. I think actually the first short story that I ever sold was to a Western magazine.
Ah, very good. What do you think is the most underexposed or underdeveloped part of the Old West?
Uh, a lot of in the earlier days, a lot of it was the focus was strictly on the cowboy. And I think we've got beyond that. I've seen some now that are focusing on elements that haven't been as heavily populated before, like the railroading element, the mining element, uh, the mountain man experience. I mean, there were some early mountain man novels, but there's many more now. Leroy Peterson from your company, he's put out quite a few.
Oh, yes, definitely. Well, that's his specialty.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
What kind of Western have you long dreamed of writing?
Another True Grit, maybe.
Well, yes, that would be a good thing. Any particular storylines or characters or entire
No,
scenarios you've been thought would be fun?
no. When I spoke to Nick the other day, he asked me if I was writing a Western at the moment. And I said, no, I was writing a mystery. And he said, well, haven't you given any thought to it? One, I couldn't think it at the moment. And then I realized, yes, I did start one that started as a short story involving coal mining in Colorado. And I started thinking it might be a novel because it's getting it's getting longer.
How do you feel that the Western market is changing?
Well, I think we mentioned that a little
We'll
before,
yes.
but I I do see the market expanding with people that never tried them before are now looking into them. I know I've had some of my readers, some of my people that reviewed my four westerns said that they never read a western before. I said, well, what brought you to read mine? Well, we know you from your mysteries, so it helped, I guess.
You're definitely doing the cross promotion again. Yes, definitely a
Yeah.
good thing. So you're currently not we're currently working on the coal miner type thing. Is that more of a mystery as well, or is that going for more of a
Uh, it started out as a traditional western, but it does have the mystery element in
that is your
it.
forte, so definitely.
Yeah, I can't hardly get away from that.
Very good. What would you have for words for inspiration for people who are looking to get into writing westerns?
Do a lot of reading.
How much research do you typically put into a novel before you start writing it?
It depends. 12 days in the territory. I have never been in Oklahoma. But my editor on that one said I must have been there because everything was accurate. Well, it was a result of lots of research.
Very good. Few things you can get better than compliments of people that think you've already been someplace.
Yeah, and talking about research, when I do research, a lot of people would just read a history book set in the period. Well, I do that more than one, but I also read contemporary newspapers, being an old newspaper man,
Mm-hmm.
because
Definitely.
that gives you the impression of what was happening at the moment, at that time period.
Yes, definitely sets the context of everything that's going
And
on.
and provides a lot of color because the newspapers in those times were a lot more colorful than they are now.
A little more freedom to write whatever you particularly felt like that would sell the paper. Yes.
Yellow journalism.
What comes first for you, the plot or the characters, and why?
Uh, a lot of times, a lot of times it is the character. I'll see a character and wonder what he's up to, and that'll inspire the plot.
Where do you get the inspiration from them?
Comes from everywhere. Something you're reading, something somebody says. we writers do a lot of eavesdropping.
Indeed.
Surprised how many ideas come from that genre.
I've noticed you're working with the Historical Society presently. How much does that affect your writing?
Very helpful research-wise. I got into that after I retired from the paper. I got back into researching my family. I had an aunt who had given me a good start on it, but I picked up from where she left off and found out she made a lot of mistakes. But anyway, I started going to the County Historical Society, and the man who was the librarian at the time was a distant cousin. And he said, "You seem to like this. Why don't you come down and help me?" Well, he died and I got the job. So I'm there 3 days a week helping people with genealogy and historical research.
Very good. Where can readers discover more about you and your books?
Well, I have a page on Amazon. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn. I have a web page, jrlindermuth.org.
jrlindermuth.org. So yes, definitely getting out there for across the social media spectrum on that. That's always a good way of being seen. And again, you said face-to-face is the best way for promoting. That's certainly social media comes into mind for all of that.
Yeah. And like I said, the area where I live, we have one Barnes and Noble about 20 miles from me. And they are not doing any promoting for local writers anymore.
Oh,
They used to do. So it's pretty hard to find places. There was a mom and pop bookstore, but that shut down. So it's hard to find local venues.
yeah, there are increasingly less book, at least really, really big mainline bookstores. We have a variety of smaller kind of mom and pop or used bookstores around town, but there's not a whole lot of just really mainline books.
No,
Going to Amazon for everything, but it's not the same as going to a bookstore.
no.
Actually, said my father-in-law used to always order things coming in by Amazon, and I just keep saying like, why are you ordering via Amazon for everything? And it's just like, well, it's easy for him and stuff like that for things. It's fun to go and just look at the books as they sit there on the shelf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pick it up, see what's on the back, stuff like that. It's a lot easier than saying, oh, well, what do I feel like looking at today for type of things to be at Amazon?
Mm-hmm.
But Amazon makes publishing easy too. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But local libraries, coffee shops, things like that will also sometimes let you do a promotion.
yeah, absolutely. There needs to be more of that going on, particularly now that COVID's over. People need to get out there and
Yeah.
reconnect.
Yeah, I have all my books at the Historical Society too, even though they're not history. But occasionally someone will come in and a lot of times a couple will come in. One of them is doing genealogy, the other one is just bored and go wander over and look at the books and buy one.
Yeah, spend the time there. That's always a good thing for them. And
Yeah.
gets you a little more exposed, a little more money on things. So that's always a good thing too.
Yeah.
Makes for a good general overall day there. Well, that's about all we have for today on things. I want to just say thank you again, John Lindermuth, for joining us on that. And again, you can find all of his books on Amazon and as well as at his website and across social media for all of that. So thank you again, John. Appreciate it much.
Okay. I appreciate it too. Thank you.
And